To those who own XRP, we just saw something crazy that we need to talk about. We are going to talk about this in great depth because it is really important. Let's start with a few things first. First, let's go back to August 8th. When Ripple did make a post, we did talk about this in a recent video, but it was mostly just about the tokenization change. It's not a trend anymore. Changes are happening in world finance. This is how RWAs are going on the chain with safe custody at the institutional level across the regions. I'm not going to start from the beginning and go into great detail about this. More than anything else, we're interested in how the market for tokenized assets is growing. First, both the EU and the US have more stocks and money market funds. More people in distant areas of Latin America can now get to them. That's also getting important. Structured loans and trade finance in Southeast Asia. We already know that trade banking was going to be on the blockchain. Almost every time we talk about XDC, we're talking about trade finance. Another big deal is the tokenization of real estate when the control, alt, and lend department is added to the XRP ledger. This is because markets like the global real estate market are worth hundreds of trillions of dollars and are starting to move on chain. It's a huge deal. It's also proof of what's going to happen in this place in the weeks, months, and years to come. What's even stranger is how much attention is being paid to the XRP system. When people talk about the XRP system, they act like it won't have any real value, like when they talk about tokenization. A lot of people are missing the big picture here, though, because Ripple is one of the main companies that makes tokenized RWAs possible on chain. This is especially true when you consider that they have built an entire system around this with the custody side of the market as well. For tokenized things of value to move on the blockchain and have real-world uses, custody is very important. Over here, we can see that Singapore is moving tokenization from test projects to widespread use, which will improve access to regulated finance and make the market more mature. Fiona Murray, Vice President and Managing Director APAC at Ripple, talks about how this change is being caused by progressive law and blockchain innovation on the XRP ledger. Again, let's focus on the XRP ledger. In fact, it's really exciting. I'll say more about this in a moment, but for now, I want you to understand how important places like Singapore are for Ripple and XRP. Why? We know that Ripple and the name XRP have been growing in these places for a long time. For example, on July 4th, Ripple and Tentity launched Blockchain Accelerator, which sped up creativity and helped people grow as professionals. Can you guess where? In Singapore. Singapore is where all of this takes place. This is all there is to say about the XRP ledger use cases that can be scaled up. A lot of attention was paid to tokenization, institutional DeFi, AI, and even blockchain and AI. Besides that, we know that Ripple actually grew their position in Asia in 2021 by opening a new office in Singapore. Add to that the fact that we know Ripple got a full license to run in Singapore in 2023 as it grew its dominance in the Asia-Pacific region. It was also a big deal because this was still going on during the SEC case. This was clear proof that Ripple was growing outside of the US, even though the case was still going on in the US. It was said in this post from Bank XRP that this is good for XRP because Singapore's move to real-world tokenization on the XRP system makes more people want to use XRP as their own currency. The clear 2025 legal framework from the Monetary Authority of Singapore supports XRP's use, which is different from the uncertain US market and attracts institutions. The speed of the XRP ledger, 3 to 5 seconds, gives XRP an edge over competitors like Ethereum. XRP's role as a bridge or settlement asset is strengthened by the fact that tokenizing real-world assets opens up new markets. With a market expected to be worth $2 trillion by 2030, XRP's success in Singapore could lead to wider use and value around the world. Also, yes, it can. And this paper from Fiona Murray does say that Singapore has become a center for new ideas in digital assets thanks to flexible rules, active participation from big institutions, and a dedication to advancing blockchain-based finance. Since 2022, projects like Project Guardian have brought together big banks to look into asset tokenization and decentralized finance apps within regulated frameworks. This has made the way for open, interoperable, and institutional-grade finance in the future. Take a look at a few of these items. These show some more details about what Singapore has been focusing on with some big players. The main thing that's being worked on here is RWA tokenization, as well as blockchain innovation and making this technology more widely used. And the most important thing is that the change is clear. It's important to remember that the move toward using public blockchains has gone from testing them in sample projects to building the foundations for real-world financial activities. Here is a breakdown of how tokenization works on public blockchains. They provide more liquidity, settlement 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and open access. These are important features for getting the full value of tokenized assets in areas like private equity, trade finance, institutional loans, and foreign exchange. Public blockchains were first created so that people could trade value with each other. Since then, they've grown up to support more complex uses, such as showing RWAS as traded digital assets. This change could lead to a more open, efficient, and global banking system that includes things like stablecoins, real estate, commodities, and intellectual property. This belongs on the XRP ledger, which is the best place for it. This is a $19 trillion market possibility. What a great thing to see. They break down everything that's going on with the XRP ledger and a lot of the tokenization moves. With all the new features that have been added to the XRP ledger through the changes, I really believe that everything going on with the XRP ledger right now supports this big push and shift toward tokenized RWAs. And at this point, I don't think many people are paying attention to this. What is the big deal that just happened now that we've thought about it? What is this? I thought, wow, I'm not sure if this is a bug on RWA. XYZ. But the overall RWA value of XRP on the chain just went through the roof and is now over $1 billion. In this case, XRP is the second biggest layer 1 network, while ZK-Sync is the largest layer 2 network based on raw RWA value. In the tokenization space, things can change this quickly. In this case, we see that the XRP ledger has $1.13 billion. Third on the list is XRP under ZKSYNC.